Sarah Hoven. I'm a curator with the Magical Museum. Today I have a story for you about a cherished painting that was looted by the Nazis in World War II. Today's story will be told to you by Thomas. He was a young man who was there at the time that it happened. It all started in the 1930s. Or was it the 1630s?
My name is Thomas. I'm the great-grandson, 16 times removed, of Bella Mesa, the original owner of the painting called The Sleeping Dog. The story that my family passed down through the generations was about the painting, and it goes like this. Back in the 1600s, my family owned a Schlafender Hund. It was a crude little country inn, you know, a short cart ride from Vienna city center, and that was what they called it, the sleeping dog, the Schlafender Hund. And this provided food and drink and a place to sleep for the travelers on their way to Vienna. And in the spring of 1634, travelers stopped at the inn and begged for some food and a place to stay, but he had no money to pay Bella Mesa. But he was an artist, so he offered to draw her a picture on the side of her barn with a piece of coal. She had no use for this, but she had a generous heart, so she accepted the offer. And the next morning when she went out, there was this drawing on the side of her barn. She was deeply moved apparently by this drawing. In the most simple way, he had captured everything that she found important in the world. It was Bella Mesa's dog sleeping in front of the house. The cats were all sleeping around it, and the light was coming down from heaven, and it looked like it was highlighting, you know, all the gifts that God has ever given mankind. It was beautiful, but of course it was drawn in coal, so there was no way for it to last. So she asked him to stay and then to paint it permanently onto a canvas. And of course she would, you know, let him stay and feed him. So he did, and he painted the Schlafender Hund, named after the inn. And it hung in the main room of our house for over 300 years. So, you know, then that young artist went off and he made something of himself, you know, like most artists do, by dying. But his name was Aaron Brandt. Do you know this artist? Yeah. Anyway, it made the painting more valuable. So, I was born in May of 1923 in Vienna. And my family still owned and operated the Schlafender Hund, but it had become a roadside inn and diner. We had very little, but we scraped by. But the next part of the story starts in 1938. It's March 12th. They call it the Anschluss, the joining, but it was a takeover. I mean, many Austrians supported it, but it was still a violation of the Treaty of Versailles. And almost overnight, Austria disappeared, it ceased to exist. And there was such violence against the Jews. It was wrong. And then November 9th, 1938, Kristallnacht, a night of broken glass. It came all the way to my house. I had gone up into the hills, scrounging for something for the family to eat or to sell. And I couldn't have been more than a mile away from home. But I saw the smoke. I heard the screams. I mean, the growing tension with the Nazis and the Jews had been getting worse, but it had not reached our countryside, I had thought. So, but I ran home and I snuck up to the tree line in our backyard. And the Germans were loading my family onto the trucks. And everyone, from the baby sister to my Oma and my Opa. And my father tried to stop them. And my father tried to stop. My father tried to stop them, and they shot him. Dead on the spot. And they took what few possessions we had, including the painting. And I was in shock at the loss of my family, at the danger, at the fear for my life. And I ran. So, I think the painting and I are the only things that survived that time. My entire family died in Dachau, and there were 27 Austrian Jews murdered in that day alone. One of them was my father. And the Nazis, they burned everything. I mean, only a few minutes, the Nazis had taken away the most precious of all, my family and our life. And years later, I mourned the loss of our family treasures. They were the reminders of the world before, of my family, and they were love, passed down for generations. I mean, the blanket that was hand-sewn by my grandmother Olivia, the beautiful cornflower blue dishes that had survived centuries were gone forever. They burned everything. Everything. Except for me and that painting. So, I made my way to London on foot, and then to Cuba, and eventually to America. You know, I was lucky. And I found love again. I got to make a second chance at a family, which is so much more than most of the people I grew up knowing. And the painting, the Nazis got it and they changed its name to Animals in Repose. And they sold it to a museum. After that, who knows? But it would be nice to see it again. I have no photos of it to show my children. Oh, but many years after the war had ended, a former family friend of mine who had immigrated to Shanghai before the whole thing began sent me a photo from my parents' wedding. And at the edge of the picture, you can see the schlafende Hund, the sleeping dog, just a little bit. It's a masterpiece. That's all I have, that photo. But in that photo, I got to see my parents' faces again. That's more than I could have hoped for.
I hope you found Thomas's story interesting. As I listened to him talk about what happened in Austria almost 100 years ago, I can't help but think about what's happening in our world today. How history, true to form, seems to be repeating itself. And I wonder if we'll learn from it and stop the madness. The lessons are right there, documented in our history. So I guess we can hope. Thank you for watching.